Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Tamra. 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 Hey, welcome back to the show. Man, listen, praise God. March is over. March was wild as hell. But before we get off into that, so I got some March was, I mean, y'all see the title, so March was what it was. But first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. For my new listeners, new episodes drop every Thursday. So come back one time for the one time, two time, come back through again and again. You feel me? All my day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 100, wherever you came in, listeners, thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. Your support is super appreciated. If you're not, follow me on social media. So the links to my social media, as well as if you want to support your girl, get some merch. If you want to just support your girl financially, if you want to check out my blog or whatever, all of that is on my website, which is tamarathedon.com. If you're watching, you see it at the bottom of the screen. And if you're listening, it's in the episode notes. Wow, I got all that out the way pretty quick. Podcast happy hour was Saturday, March 27th. If you missed out, it was, man, we was laughing, we was crying, we was being petty. Like, it was a good time. Super great podcast happy hour, whatever. It was fun. Just me and Autumn, Audrey, Chris, J Boog get together, do what we do offline, but on camera, you feel me? It was on J Boog's platform, but the link to her YouTube is in my episode notes. So if you want to see it, because you got to peep the visuals, you got to see the face expressions and all that stuff, because I know I've been changed, and you're going to see what I'm talking about when you watch the podcast happy hour. So make sure y'all check that out. Podcast shout out. Gotta do, I've never listened to this show, just recently came across them on Twitter, and they actually listened to my show, so I figured I'll give them a shout out. That's not how I do it, but I like to mix it up between my homies and my regulars and just other people, because I'm trying to spread the love to everybody, you feel me? So this one is Self-Care After Dark, which says it is, hold on, a down-to-earth journey to self-care. Let me try that again. A down-to-earth journey to self-care and self-love. Tune in as we discuss loving ourselves, self-care, good Lord, and relationships. And just based on the interaction I had with her on Twitter, yeah, go ahead and check her out. The link to her stuff is in the episode notes. So, excuse me, which let me go ahead and get the Tam special. Today is definitely a day that I need this Tam special. So, oh my God in heaven, let me tell y'all, I'm trying to think where to start. So I guess I'll start with my Sunday. We'll see if I talk about whatever, but Sunday was like, matter of fact, I was asleep. I had this super weird dream that a whole bunch of water got into my apartment, and it was coming out of matter of fact, in the dream, it was coming out of the shower. It didn't make any sense to me. Woke up, went to the bathroom, and then I would have gone back to sleep. So that's the crazy thing, is that had my friend not have texted me and was like, "Are you up? Call me." And me knowing her, I know that her texting me, it was important. Like, she don't just say stuff like that just to be saying it. So I called her. She gives me some bad news. Nobody died, but just, some bad stuff happened, and we were kind of talking through that. So that's literally the only reason that I was awake, because like I said, I was going to go back to sleep because I was still tired. Okay. Y'all, first of all, let's back up. Prior to May of 2020, so May of 2020 is when I moved into, we live in an apartment. We live on the first floor. And the reason I specifically wanted a first floor apartment is because I knew that I would be, even though we have an apartment gym, which, pause, shout out to my mom, because I went over her house on Saturday after my nail appointment, and we were talking about whatever, and I'm in her basement because that's where she was, and I see this elliptical machine, but like one that was small enough that I could carry up out of her house. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, do you use this? And she was like, no. I was like, oh, bet I'm taking that. Thanks. And of course, she let me have it because it's my mom and she knows I'm on my Snatch 40s journey. You feel me? And my mom always is trying to support whatever positive things I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to her, because I got an elliptical machine that, it's the kind that just the legs move, but that's sufficient because I do strength training with resistance bands and dumbbells and stuff like that. So I feel okay with just having that. Have been wanting to switch it up. We have an apartment gym, but I don't know. I don't really feel like doing all that and going over there. It's just so much more convenient for me to either do the YouTube videos or whatever in my apartment. So shout out to her for that. But besides that, there is an apartment gym, but I moved into a first floor apartment because I knew that I would be working out at home, and I didn't want to be jumping around doing whatever I was doing and making all this noise to disturb the people below me. So we live in the first floor, but prior to May of 2020, I have not lived in an apartment since 2007. And really, I've only lived in two apartments in my life, and they were for, I want to say, a year each. One was in like probably 2001, and the second one, or maybe it was 2002, because Kayliana was alive. So one was in 2002. The other was from 2006 to 2007. Then that's when I was still married. We split, divorced, and I've been in either, actually just houses since then, but I've lived in townhomes and stuff. So apartment living has never, like, I didn't want to move into an apartment when we had to move out of the house that we lived in before, but it's just the way it is, and it is what it is. So apartment living, it kind of blows my mind when I think about the fact that, like, I'm in my apartment, but my apartment is a part of a larger area where other people are in here in this building too. And it's kind of weird because, like, sometimes when I'm in my living oh, sometimes when I'm in my living room, um I don't I don't know. I don't want to have certain conversations in my living room because I'm like, what if somebody's standing outside my door listening? So I'll, rather have those conversations in my bedroom. It's just weird because, you hear all these noises and it's not anyone that's in your apartment. So it's weird. And, once Janae graduates, we're moving somewhere else and it won't be an apartment. So, apartment living is not my favorite. There have been many, many different things that have happened here that I'm like, bruh, like the people on the third floor, their kids be just doing the most. I don't often hear it when I'm in my room because I'm guessing that their parents probably have the master bedroom and they're not jumping around and doing whatever. But sometimes no, not sometimes. Usually every time I go in my living room, I hear all this stuff that I just be like, what the hell do they be doing? And the girls will complain about it, but I generally never hear it. Okay, so apartment living is just, it is a trip. In the winter there was times when it was -30 and -40 below, and I'm not even really sure what was going on because generally there's enough parking spaces for all of us to be able to park in the parking lot. I don't know where these extra cars were coming from. We had a kind of big snowfall, so I don't know if people got stuck here or whatever, but I just know that it was like negative 30 and 40 below outside, and I couldn't get a spot in my parking lot. So that irritated the hell out of me. And, just little stuff like that. Just people are kind of like, I don't know. I think I said it on here before. I feel like I moved into the ghetto apartments, even though the area of town that I live in is not ghetto. So I don't know, but like people, the apartment hallway sometimes will be like messy. Now, maintenance will come clean it up, but it's still just like, why don't you take pride in where we live? Why do you want to live, have food or trash? Or, man, I remember around Halloween seeing little mini fireball bottles. So that's a liquor if you're not familiar with that. Just, randomly thrown on the floor with candy. And I'm like, maybe that was kids that did that, but that's concerning if it was, because the kids that live in my apartment, besides my kids that I've seen, are like way younger than my kids. Like maybe at the most somebody might be 13, but I don't even think. And I know kids do what they do, but still, it's just so it's just been all kinds of things that I have not quite enjoyed. However, I gotta take another sip because y'all like, yes, yes, yes. So Sunday morning, like I said, I got up to use the restroom. My plan was to go back to sleep. And it's funny because when I have those plans in mind and I just go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I don't put my glasses on. Your girl can't see at all without my glasses, but I don't put my glasses on when I know I'm about to go back to sleep. But something, God, you a real one. Something told me, put your glasses on. So I put my glasses on, and then I looked and I saw that I had a notification on my phone that I had got a text message. I saw who it was. It was my friend. And she had said, "You up, call me." So I'm like, okay, let me see what's wrong. I call her. She's upset and she's telling me what's going on. And so we're talking through it and whatever. And then I just hear this really really strange noise coming from my bathroom. So I'm on the phone with her and I'm like out loud saying like, what the hell is that noise in my bathroom? Y'all, y'all. I go in my bathroom, right? So I guess it'd be called a 3/4 bath or whatever it's like my personal, what is it called? A ensuite or something. I don't know. I saw that y'all, I be watching, I love HGTV shows. So I was watching Flip or Flop the other day. I feel like that's what they called it, an ensuite. I just call it a master bath. So maybe that's what it is too. Or maybe what they were talking about is something different. But anywho, I have a sink, a toilet, and a shower, which is fine because I'm more of a shower person than a bath person anyway. If I take a bath, it's more so like when I used to live in the house that I lived in prior to here, it had like a jacuzzi tub in the master bathroom, but I would still take a shower first because there's just something about sitting in a tub full of water. And if I'm not already clean, that just seems gross because I'm just kind of sitting in my own dirt. So I would take a shower first, get in the tub just to soak, and then still go kind of wash off some more to get all the whatever. So it just has a shower. This is important information, y'all, so you can understand the magnitude of what my Sunday was like. So I hear this noise. I go in the bathroom just in time to see the drain cover being pushed up, a bunch of water coming up through the drain very fast. There was black stuff that was coming up and something that looked like, I guess I thought it was toilet paper, but it wasn't. But we'll get into that later. Come up through the drain, and water is quickly filling up the shower. So it's just a shower that, yeah, it has a ledge so that, you're not getting the floor all wet when I take a shower, but it ain't a tub. So I see it coming up over flooding the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I try to hurry up and put some towels down, thinking I don't know what's going on, but hopefully it'll stop. No, it just kept coming. And so I'm like, all right, let me call emergency maintenance. I go in my daughter's bathroom and check theirs. their tub is filling up, but because they have a tub, it didn't overflow and get all over the place. Now, some of the water, I think it was some of the water from my bathroom, I did see like on the floor. So I put a towel down in there. I come back in my room and look at the bathroom and I'm just like, bruh, the carpet's wet, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, these towels that I throw all the extra towels we have down to try to like slow down the spread of the water, even though the water's coming out all fast or whatever. So that's how my Sunday morning started off. I called the emergency maintenance people. Now it's kind of funny because usually when I call the emergency maintenance people, they'll call me back, but on the message I was like very detailed about what was going on, and I was cussing, not like cussing them out, but like kind of like as it was developing, like, and there's black stuff coming up, and I was like, fuck. And then I'm like, okay, I'm sorry for cussing because I didn't want I really try to, because I've worked in customer service, be kind to people, especially in scenarios where they probably expect me to go off. I almost try to go above and beyond because it's really not their fault. I didn't really know what was going on, but what I did know is that the day before on Saturday, that when I had left and came back, that I saw a Roto Rooter van here or whatever in our parking lot. So obviously they were in someone's apartment or whatever. So I said that, I'm like, I know there was a plumber here yesterday, so I don't know what exactly happened. Da 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 da. When I tell you, these people didn't even call me back, they just showed up with a shop vac. You know what I'm saying? Because they said this problem had happened not yesterday, the day before. So I guess what that would have been Saturday, because this was Sunday, that it had happened Saturday in the apartment next to me. That's why the plumber was there, and it was an issue from an above apartment. That's all they said at that point. And they were like, we thought we got it figured out, but I guess we must have just pushed it down the line to your apartment. A plumber's on the way. So the on-call maintenance man is just like, what is he doing? Like trying to suck up the water and sucking it up as much as he can, and then going back and forth, whatever. And so I'm on the phone with my friend. You know, I called her back to kind of go back into what we were talking about. And I'm sitting there, and then the power goes out. And I'm like, bruh, why is the power out? So not only was the power out in my apartment, because I'm like, damn, did the water like seep into a power line? And I didn't know, because it was a lot of water. The power was out in the whole apartment building. So that means, because the power's out, that means the plug is not going to work for the shop vac that's sucking up the water that's still coming out of the shower from the drain or whatever. So water's still whatever, whoop de whoop de whoop. Okay. So fast forward, they get it situated. They, get all the water cleaned up. They call in, what I'm saying, extraction team is what he said. It had me feeling like Olivia Pope in this mug. Don't ask me why, but you have all these different men coming in. I'm just kind of sitting around, which of course it's their job. But when I'm the parent in the house, especially as a single parent, I'm kind of used to me being the one having to figure all these things out or whatever. Sorry, I had to take me a little sippy sip, you feel me? But I'm used to me having to figure these things out. But so you got all these different men coming in and out. You got the maintenance man, you got the plumber, you got the extraction team. They get it all situated. They had to tear something off the drywall. I'm glad y'all did it, because y'all, you're not finna say I messed it up, because I know that this apartment was like remodeled before I moved in. So that's one of the things that made me feel, or I guess renovated would be a better word, because they like redid everything and they're like kind of doing all of them, redoing them in here. That's what kind of made me feel okay about living in an apartment, because I just have this thing where, like, I'm not a germaphobe. I am a pretty clean person. And like I've said on here before, you can pretty much come to my house at any point and just show up, and at max on my desk, there may be like mail stacked up that I need to go through and shred or whatever. But other than that, my house is clean. Maybe the dishes may not be done, but I'm pretty much we need to do our own dishes in this house of usable, you whatever. During my work day, I may just eat and let the dishes pile up. But by the end of the day, before I go to bed, all the dishes will be done unless I don't know, something's wrong or I'm not feeling well because I don't know, I need order and cleanliness just to feel okay. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I'm a very, like I said, clean person. But where was I going with that? I like totally lost my train of thought. Do do do. I don't even know why I brought that up. I know I brought it up for a reason, but whatever. We'll just go somewhere else. So you have all these maintenance men coming in and out. They got it situated. Whatever. It was renovated before I moved in. And so I'm glad they know what happened. They know it's not my fault. They know whatever. They had to tear off the drywall or whatever. But what I was saying about it being renovated is I have this thing where when I'm moving into a new house, even if it looks like people lived in there, even though I know that people lived in there before me because I've never lived anywhere. Like I have never built a house from the ground up or anything like that. Hashtag goals. But I know people have lived in there before me, but I have this thing where if it looks like it, like, so if the cleaning team or whoever didn't do a good job cleaning it before I move in, I won't even accept that house because it's nasty to me and I don't want to know that I'm cleaning somebody else's mess, even though the reality, it's me, it's whatever. So this place was renovated before I moved in. So that's what made me feel whatever. So what the issue was, and it's so interesting, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna be transparent even more so than I was with them. So, they get it situated, they got all the water out, it's good now. They just have to come back and fix the drywall, and then they're probably gonna have to do something with the floor because I noticed that even and maybe it'll dry overnight or whatever, but I noticed that if I go in the bathroom and walk or whatever, it's almost like water's not a ton of water, but water's kind of like seeping up through the floor cracks or between whatever type of flooring that is. And so they may have to do that, but for the most part, it's fixed, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a point to all this, of course. So here's the thing. The issue that they said is they were like, because I was like, of course, what the hell happened? And he was like, the plumber was like, how did he say it? The third floor, they use wet wipes on the third floor. And I was like, wet wipes? And he was like, yeah, like those. And he said, quote unquote, well, he didn't do quote unquote, he did the air quotes or whatever, flushable wipes. And I just got dead quiet. We'll get there in a second. And he's like, yeah, we had this issue on an apartment, like not directly above me, like over. So the way my apartment building is set up is there's 3 stories and there's 4 apartments per story. So it's me, them, and then across the hall or whatever. So I guess the people next to me but up or whatever, I don't even know how to describe that. They've admitted to it, but here's the thing. We use them here too. Now, in that moment, I didn't want to say nothing. I just let him talk. And he was like, we got it, blah, blah, blah. And in mental no, I'm like, okay, we can't use those no more because I guess they're not really flushable, which that's the stupid part is because it's like I was intentional about getting something that I thought would be okay, but really finding out that it wasn't. But I've used them for a long time. And so I don't know if it's just different because I'm in an apartment and there's a lot of people using the same plumbing line, or if they're not if they're flushing like baby wipes or something else that's not flushable, or I don't know. But all I know is, I had told my kids going forward, no, we can't be on that because I don't ever want that to happen again. Like, Y'all, when I saw that black stuff come up through the shower, I mean, I already am a person that uses like Clorox bleach cleaner to clean. But when I tell you I had to, you know what I'm saying? And even still, I really at first didn't go in my bathroom or whatever because I don't know. So I just, use the girls' bathroom because it just made me feel better because they still haven't sorted out everything they need to sort out. They're supposed to come back. Well, most likely by the time y'all hear this, they will have sorted out. But as I'm recording this, it's not sorted out fully. So, just the thought of like I ended up buying, hold on, let's talk about this. So, and I think men just don't think sometimes, or I think there was just a lot going on and there was crisis that they were trying to solve, and these little stupid things that they did just didn't register. So one of the things they did is I had this bath mat, and the bath mat, I remember picking it up off the floor. I can't even remember when I had put it above the shower shower curtain bar or whatever rod. I don't know how it fell on the floor. These things happen. It got wet. Okay, so it has since been thrown away because I'm not washing it. I just don't want any parts of that ever again in life. Like, excuse me, that's how I am with certain things because I don't know what that black's. Ugh. Anyways, so all the towels that I had put down to try to slow down the spread of the water or whatever. Now, this was smart. They put those in the bathroom sink so that, they can drip down the drain and whoop de woo. That was smart. But then what they did is they put the shower mat on top of that, and like the towels didn't touch my toothbrush and toothpaste, but the shower mat did. So all that had to be thrown away because toothpaste and all, I don't care. I don't want no parts of that. So that was kind of dumb. I'm not really tripping off that because buying a new shower mat is fine. So there was a point when I went outside to charge my phone because this is when the power was out. And so I went out to my car. And so I was sitting in my car, um, talking to my friend still. Cause remember, I was on the phone except for when I had to call them to report whatever and then just had to wait. So I wasn't in here to advise them or whatever. I don't know that I would have stood in my room anyway and like cuz y'all are the experts, you know what I'm saying? And it just felt I wasn't trying to like watch them like that. I had my purse with me, so I wasn't worried about and I really wasn't worried about them stealing anyway, but I wasn't trying to be watching them, but maybe I should have because what they also did was they put my shower curtain on my bed and my shower curtain was wet with the nasty dirty water. So threw the liner away because I don't want no parts of that. Now the shower curtain I did wash. So I ended up going to the laundromat after the fact, had to wash my bedspread and all that. I was already going to go to the laundromat right away to wash the towels because I didn't want them to just be sitting there wet and get mildewy or whatever. But because they put this stuff on my bed, then I had to go wash my bedspread, sheets, all that. Just let's just try again. I don't know why, when I think about it, why I didn't buy a new shower curtain, but I don't know. I think it's because from what I could tell, the shower curtain, like the liner is longer than the shower curtain because the shower curtain stops at the top of the I don't even know what you call it, tub edge or whatever, and the liner goes down to the floor so that it doesn't go out or whatever. Like underneath the liner, I got the extra long one, so it was the bottom part of it was wet. So I don't know. Somehow in my mind, I was okay with just washing the shower curtain, but then I had to wash all my stuff. So that was the only thing that was kind of like, what was y'all thinking? But I just think there probably was a lot going on and they just didn't think about it. Whatever. They still did the stuff that I couldn't do. I'm fine with washing my blankets and sheets as I did because I was going to have to go to the laundromat anyway to wash all them towels. Now, you heard all of that. Now, here is the lesson therein, which is a model that I have, and I feel like I've talked about it on here before at some point. A model that I have in all things in life is I am the kind of person that always tries to look for the bright spot because you cannot control what happened. I could not control that one. Either it was me using the flushable wipes, which here's a little mini lesson. Sometimes you're doing things that you think they're not harmful because there are no adverse effects happening right away. And then you've been doing it for so long, and then you find out it's harmful when a disaster happens. So keep that in mind just in life. Also, if you think flushable wipes are flushable, they're not. It's a lie. That's what the plumber told me. So that aside, so that's a little side lesson, but I am very much a person that really tries to look for the bright spots. So, what are the bright spots in that? First of all, what is a bright spot? A bright spot's kind of like a silver lining. It's kind of like a something to be grateful for amidst whatever trial, whatever you're going through. Because, like I said, if I don't try to find something to be grateful for and not be fake, that's just how I am. It kind of keeps me from like one of the things I've said, the girl's dad was killed 5.5 years ago. If you didn't, that's what had happened. I have 3 kids, 17, 18 are my daughters, and then 21-year-old son, but he has a different dad. One thing I've always been grateful for ever since he was killed is that we had daughters together. Now, raising any child with their parent having been killed is hard, and I've talked about that stuff on here. However, I've always been grateful that we had daughters because I can't raise a man or teach a man, I should say, how to be a man. And you don't always have male role models and mentors and all these things to step in and fill the gaps. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a small example of me looking for a bright spot in a situation that's tragic. So, bright spots in this scenario is one, while I would never wish what happened to happen to my friend, one, had she not have called or wanted to talk to me about it and text me and me know her to know that if she texts me and says call me, that it's important. So I'm great. I mean, I've known her since the 7th grade, so we know each other well enough for me to know that. I am grateful that she texted me because had she not texted me, let's even back up further. I'm grateful that when I had that, it was really God telling me, put your glasses on, because he knew what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I believe it because I had a dream based in my life. God has spoken to me through my dreams. You know what I'm saying? So that's my life. If it's not your life, it don't have to be, because God speaks to people in different ways. But one of the ways he speaks to me is through my dreams. And so he literally gave me a dream not why do I keep making it the night before where he water got all in the apartment coming out of the shower. So God knew what it was. He knew what was going to happen. And that's why he was like, girl, put your glasses on when I got up to go to the bathroom, because then he knew if I didn't have my glasses on, I wouldn't have saw my phone to even see that she had texted me. Thank God I was on the phone with her up and alert, because I really was about to just go back to sleep. And then I would have just woke up to an even greater disaster, because another bright spot, because I saw it happening right away, I was able to act quickly to try to make it not as bad it was going to be, call the maintenance people. And now I would have called these people when I woke up. But first of all, water would have gotten way further into my carpet, in my it just y'all, it was so disgusting. like and the plumber's like, oh, the black stuff, I don't care that you trying to. Now, thank God I didn't see like poop or stuff like that, but that don't mean it's not. Anyways, so that's a bright spot. Another bright spot is that, now again, while I would not wish this on anybody, because it had literally happened the day before in the apartment next to mine. I believe that's why when I called emergency maintenance, they just came and knew what to come with. And who knows, maybe they would have came that quickly, but they already knew what to do and thought they had it situated. So he was able to act quickly and do all these things that I don't know how quick. Like he said, it took 4 hours to figure out whatever yesterday. That wasn't the case for me. It wouldn't have been if the power hadn't have gone out. So those are the things that are kind of like bright spots. I'm also grateful that the girls' bathroom, they have a tub, so it wasn't that bad, because at first I just wasn't going in my bathroom and wasn't using my bathroom because it was just in there. And so I was able to go in their bathroom, because I mean the last thing I need to be trying, I don't know my neighbors, like besides hi and bye, it ain't on no level if I'm about to be like, can I use your bathroom? And then I don't even know what's going on in your apartment. Your apartment could be messed up too, you know what I'm saying? So those are all the bright spots in that story. That's my encouragement to y'all. This is a shorter episode, but I just kind of wanted to get this out. I was going to do a completely different episode for this week, but as y'all know, I can only give y'all what I got. But that is my encouragement to y'all. Like we saw in 2020, that we don't always get to choose what happens to us. That's true often. Like we can work towards goals and we can do our part for certain things, but some stuff is just out of our control. Like even what I believe is that even if we didn't use flushable wipes, that still would have happened because other people are using them. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we don't be using the bathroom like that, and we haven't lived here like that. We haven't even lived here a year yet. Furthermore, what the plumber said is that because he said they got to come back and bring a line with a camera just to see what's going on, because he took the snake out. He was like 75 feet away, so he kind of doesn't understand even what why that happened. But here's a crazy thing that I started thinking about, and this is how my mind works, because as y'all know, if you're not new, I have a relationship with the Lord. You've already heard me say that on here this episode, if this is your first time. And so I think about things often through the lens of my faith and whatever. And one of the things I started thinking about as I'm in a season where I'm doing a lot of preparation stuff for future things to come that y'all will hear about on here, just because I tell y'all about my life, but then some stuff is like I want y'all to hear about it, you know what I'm saying? Just stay tuned. But as I'm in this preparation stage and doing a lot of stuff, it's interesting to me that let me get this right because I had it perfect earlier. The line had to be cleared out so things could flow properly, blessings, whatever. And so I told a friend of mine, it's kind of interesting that because God speaks to me through my dreams, like last week I had this dream where, did I talk about it on here? No, because I nope. So last week, so we gonna get more into this March madness because March was wild. So last week I had this dream. Now, what is so funny, y'all, what is so funny is because remember last week I said when I was talking about you can't weaponize your trauma. And one of the things I said about me talking to somebody that I met in online dating is I said, just because like there weren't any red flags, but just because of my experiences with men, I'm just kind of like, well, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? And I said something like that. Well, another one bites the dust on that. So on Wednesday of last week, I had this dream, and I had a dream that um Snowfall. Okay, so Franklin from Snowfall's a show. The crack aside, he's building an empire, and that's, for lack of a better term, what I'm working towards or whatever. So he's building his empire. So I've just kind of resonated with that show from that aspect, watching him bring people on board, marketing, just all these things that if you take the drugs out, that's basically what we're watching. Now, the fact that it's the crack epidemic in the 80s and it ruined all these communities, Okay, that you know what I'm saying. But I had this dream and Franklin was in it, and I was trying to drive somewhere. And as I was getting in my car, all these kids, so all these like toddlers, I don't know whose little baby's kids these was. And yes, they was baby's kids. They were very disobedient. They weren't listening to me. Hold on. They weren't listening to me when I was trying to tell them to get out of my car so that I could drive off. So I finally got in and tried to just drive anyway. All these kids that really couldn't even fit in my car is in the car weighing me down, slowing me down. And I had that dream on Wednesday, which was a really rough day. I didn't go to work. I literally just laid in bed all day and then watched The Breakfast Club. That I did talk about that on my live show, which if you didn't, side note, if you didn't catch my conversation about healing from trauma, the live show that was Thursday, I'll put that in my I'll put the link to the YouTube in my episode notes, because if y'all pay attention, I said I'm not doing audio uploads because I just feel like for my lives, that's just what I want it to be. It is what it is. But if you want to catch that, um the link to that. So the link to that and the podcast happy hour YouTube, which is on JBoog's platform. Both of those will be in the episode notes. But anyways, I had that dream, and what that dream told me is that I'm trying to move forward, even in relationships, like trying to get over the issues I've had with men, but that I have so many fears and insecurities that are weighing me down and slowing me down from stepping into the things. And this isn't necessarily just related to relationships, but a lot of different things. I'm doing a lot right now that you'll see later or whatever, but it's slowing me down. And so I said it on the live show, and I think I said it on last week's episode too, with weaponizing your trauma, is that sometimes when you've done the work, like you've gone to therapy, you've processed whatever and all these things, sometimes you have to just decide to walk in freedom. Now, it's not always that way. Even for me, sometimes I got to revisit things and reprocess or whatever, but I can usually tell kind of when it's what or whatever. So I just had to choose after having that dream, and basically the Lord showing me like, girl, you trying to do all these things, but you letting all these things weigh you down that don't belong to you, because none of them kids were mine. And like everything that you need to fulfill whatever the purpose you have on this earth. I'm a person that believes we are not here by chance. We are here by design. So we have some purpose that looks different for everybody. But everything you need to do to fulfill that purpose outside of maybe education and training or whatever, it's already in you. But then sometimes life, trials, heartache, all these things harden our heart. And then we sometimes take on things like shame, fear, insecurities, etc., that don't belong to us because they are not a part of who we were originally created to be. So that said, what I got from that is that, you know, girl, you out here thinking you trying to do all these things, but you still letting this stuff weigh you down that you don't need. You need to just let that go. And so my thing was like, hey, God, go ahead and take that. You know what I'm saying? Summarizing up our conversation. And I've felt freer ever since. Is it always like that with me? No, but that's what happened last week. Then fast forward to mm, 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 mm. So as I said, another one bites the dust because one of the things that I know about men, no, scratch that. One of the things that I know I'm not finna do, I guess I'll say this, because of the experiences I've had with online dating, which I've talked about that on here, and just some of the horror stories that you hear other people go through. One of the things I'm not finna do is play with anybody. I'm not going to. One of the things my homie told me, which he met his about to be wife online dating, but one of the things like advice he gave me is don't spend a lot of time just messaging someone without meeting them and making sure that they are who they say they are. And he was like, a man that's for real is not going to want to play around either. So he's like, be careful and all these things and whatever. But that's one of the things he said. And so one of the things that I'm a pretty blunt, upfront person. And so I tried to schedule a virtual meeting because I get it. It's COVID. I'm not saying you got to come hang out. I don't even go nowhere like that. This person also doesn't live in my exact city. He lives about a 45-minute drive away or whatever. So that was fine. Originally, this person agreed to it. And then I'm like, okay, hey, tell me your availability, whoop-de-woo. He's like, all right, I'll do that and get back to you. Wasn't really tripping about that. But then, long story short, a week later, now this is already after several days later, I was kind of like, hey, you never gave me your availability. And he's blah, blah, blah. I will. I'm like super summarizing because I don't feel like going into it like detailed like that. But he was like, we can't do it today or tomorrow, but soon. Now, I will say that at that part, I was a little annoyed just because I wasn't saying, hey, we need to do it right now, because I don't move like that. Like, I am the kind of person that, because I have to think about my daughter's work schedule, I have to think about if I'm recording with someone, or like I have my live show, podcast happy hour. I have to think about this class I'm taking. I have to think about my daughter's therapy schedule. So I have to consider things I can't usually, especially right now. Right now is a really busy season where my time is more limited than it normally is. I can't really jump like that. So I need to plan things. That's why I said, hey, what's your availability? So I was a little irritated by that. But I also try to remember not everybody's like me. And so I try to be patient and understanding or whatever. But then fast forward a few days after that. So I guess that would have been 2 weeks ago, actually, when I first asked about the virtual meeting. And then a week ago is when I came with something else that I was trying to talk about, because I'm an overthinker. And generally, how I used to be, your girl is out here growing, y'all. My first episode was vulnerability, ew, where I was talking about how much I don't like vulnerability because it just makes me feel, it literally used to make me feel gross when I started the show. But I've grown, I process, like, this show is basically me processing my life. Sometimes I get different revelations, like, as I'm talking about it. But so what I did, because I was kind of like, analyzing our interactions and this, that, and the other. And I thought, okay, instead of me overthinking and then jumping to conclusions, let me just kind of see where he's at, what he's thinking. By this time, we've been communicating for about a month between on the app, and we actually exchanged phone numbers. And so, but I'm also like, I don't really want to spend a lot more time if I can't rest in the fact that this is who he says he is, which is something I mentioned early in our interactions, that I needed to be sure about that because I'm about to be playing with people on this app. So, anywho, I wanted to see just whatever, not like, oh, I'm trying to jump into a relationship, because I'm not. But at the same time, I'm a person that I want to feel like I'm progressing towards something. Otherwise, if not, and no, I don't need no more homies. I got homies. I got pod homies. I got a brother. I got whatever. I'm not really on a dating app trying to make new friends, because I don't know. I'm just the kind of person I need to categorize where I keep people, which is kind of why when I said I'm not trying to be on here trying to date podcasters, like, the podcast world is the podcast world. This is, we'll just say this is like work, y'all my coworkers or whatever. And I just got to keep that like that and keep that separate. So therefore, if I'm meeting someone on a dating app and we start off like trying to see where things are going to go, then it's not like I'm going to say I want to be your friend. Some people do that. That's not me, and everybody's different, so whatever. Anywho, we're having this interaction. I kind of asked him just kind of what he was thinking about the interactions that we've had so far, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of see where his head is at, because I'm always going to be someone who asks questions because communication is super important to me because I'm an overthinker, like I said. Well, he took that as, I guess he thought I was trying to talk about us meeting, which I actually in that moment wasn't. And the conversation just went way left where he tried to say some, or I guess my timetable isn't congruent with yours. And I like our interactions and you seem thoughtful and charismatic. So again, and I said this on podcast happy hour, it sounds like this nigga's like I'm a pastor or something. Like I only hear charismatic when you're talking. That's like a Christian term or whatever. Like the average person, I have never heard anyone who wasn't describing a pastor or something as charismatic. So that was kind of weird, although it wasn't negative, but it was just an interesting description. But he ended that part of the text with, I'm not going to let anyone rush my timetable or something. So I was a little confused, asked some questions to kind of clarify because, again, the message that I had sent, and I'm very careful when I send text messages to like try to make sure you don't misunderstand. And yes, I sent a text message because we hadn't even had a phone call, which for me, I don't care because I don't necessarily like to talk on the phone like that unless I really, really know you. I more prefer to text, and anybody who knows me knows that's what I'm gonna more lean towards, unless I know you're a phone person, then I might try to call you or whatever. But so it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I hadn't even met this dude. So he's a stranger. So I didn't really owe him we didn't have a phone call. You know what I'm saying? But it just went super left. And I tried to clarify because I wasn't understanding where he got that from. And then he pulling up receipts from our conversation before where I said it doesn't have to be today or tomorrow, but preferably sooner than later. So then I was like, oh, that's what you're talking about? Well, today wasn't related to that. However, if me wanting to schedule a virtual meeting to make sure that you are who you say you are, parentheses, also something I previously mentioned, since he wanted to be petty and say a previous message like he thought he was proving himself. Number one, I stand by what I said, but I also told you before that it was important for me to know who you are. So if that makes you feel like I'm rushing your timetable, okay. And then I deleted his number, deleted the text thread, and unmatched him on the app because one of the things he had said in a earlier message in that conversation was, if this doesn't work for you, I understand. Cool. Ain't talked to him since because like I said, I'm not about to play with you. And I keep going back to this episode because Jeezy just really helped me understand that I do understand men. I've just seemed to attracted men that either aren't that interested or are on bull or whatever. And that's okay. But at least it's helped me not waste time wondering and this, that, and the other. The episode I'm talking about is He's Not That Into You. Dope episode. Him and Shayna. She's from Sweatpants and Stretch Marks podcast. I've talked about them on here before. He's from Brunch with the Boys podcast. I've talked about them on here before, but it was a good episode. If you're like me, maybe an overthinker or new to the dating game or whatever, it's a good episode to go just get some insight on like how men think, how less complex men are than women. But I say all that to say, if he was for real and didn't, or I don't know what the issue was, I just don't think it would have went like that. Like, I don't know. So anyway, though, the bright spot in that is one of my goals in life is to become an adjunct professor. And so what I learned from him because of the career field that he's in is that, so I have a bachelor's degree and I'm really not trying to go back to school, for sure not now. If I do, it wouldn't be until after next year when Janae graduates from high school. But what I learned from him is that I don't have to necessarily have a master's degree to be an adjunct professor at a community college, which I started at a community college. So I would love to I liked the smaller classroom size and all those things. So that's the bright spot in that is, hey, I got some information that will be beneficial towards me achieving my goals or whatever. So you can't always choose what you go through. There were things that I liked about him up until that day. Literally, there were no red flags. You know what I'm saying? Like, So I don't know what it was. Who know? My friend was like, maybe he been through whatever, whoop de woo. That's fine, but that's not gonna work for me because I'm always gonna be a person that's gonna ask questions. And if you're gonna get defensive and then not even try to listen to what I'm saying, even when I go above and beyond to try to explain, because when you hit that first message about our timetables aren't congruent, I almost was just like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Because it irritated me because that's not even what I said. So I'm out here growing, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Having these uncomfortable conversations because one of my things, and I've said this on here before, is I kind of don't like being misunderstood simply because I am very intentional about trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying. But like I said, bright spot, I got information that I needed. So nothing is wasted. Like either, hold on, either I learned something about myself or I learned something about whatever. One thing also, another bright spot is growth. You feel me? That's growth because the old me wouldn't have even sent the text message to ask him what he was thinking or see what was going on or whatever. The old me would have just overthought and came up with my own conclusions. And so I'm glad we went through that despite how it turned out, simply because it just shows me that I'm more ready for a relationship than I sometimes think, because I know in relationships it's two human beings with their own personalities, issues, baggage sometimes. I mean, we all have some, even if it's just a carry-on baggage, we all got something we've been through, experiences that we see the world through that lens of our experiences or whatever. But um dang, I lost my train of thought. But I see growth though. I guess I'll just say that, where I can see that I am ready to have those conversations and see it through. And even if I get irritated, because I do get irritated with stuff like that, like still just go through it and not withdraw and all these things. So those are the bright spots, y'all. Man, I'm out here, March Madness. March was wild. There's so many things that we all saw happen in March that it's funny. I kind of almost was gonna get into lessons I've learned through different, more public things I've seen, but didn't really want to get into that because I'm not really into celebrity stuff unless it really actually naturally just comes up. But I don't make episodes based on celebrity stuff. No shade to anyone who does, because I listen to shows, but it just usually doesn't have anything to do with my life. And this show is about my life and the ways I'm trying to grow. So yeah, so your girl's out here growing, you girls out here being more vulnerable, because it did take a level of vulnerability to be like, hey, I'm questioning to try to see what's what right now. We've had all these conversations and we've talked about all these things, and there were things that I liked about him, but ultimately none of that mattered because our timetables weren't congruent. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but thank y'all so much for listening to me talk about the foolishness that I've gone through and the ways that I'm trying to grow, the ways that I've grown. Make sure, if any of this is going to help you on your journey, hey, that's what's up. But ultimately, make sure you're taking care of your mental health, your emotional health. Make sure you're taking care of your spiritual health. Regardless of what your beliefs are, we all have a spirit that we walk around and carry around with us everywhere we go. We need to be healthy, but also make sure you're taking care of your physical health. Like, and sometimes, you know what? Sometimes the best thing you could do is just rest. And that's what I did Wednesday. Like, normally I try to, or last Wednesday, normally I try to push myself, push myself, push myself. But that was a day where I literally just, I didn't even eat until like late in the day because I literally just laid in bed. But it was so good for me. And then I was able to go back to work the next day refreshed, feeling better. Use your PTO. You know what I'm saying? Like, be good to yourself, excuse me, because you're no good to no one else if you're not healthy and you're not doing right. You know what I'm saying? So take care of yourselves until y'all see me again, until y'all hear me again.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for...